Joe!
Oh, wait, that's not even what is
I don't know.
Three, four.
Hello and welcome to Toronto Ultra's Merk and Maven podcast. My name is Maven and I am a dumb fuck.
Why is that, Maven? Joe, tell your story today. It was a rough travel day. It was a rough one.
Well, first, before I get into this shit day that I had, just how are you doing, Joe? Like, you doing good? You look good.
Thanks, man. I'm doing all right. I went to bed early last night. I was responsible. I knew I had a 9 a.m. flight that turned to 11 a.m., 11 a.m. flight that turned to noon, a noon flight that turned to 1, a 1 p.m. flight that turned to 2, and then I think on the runway we sat there for about an hour. It was a really long day. It was supposed to be an hour and a half flight, an easy day. It was not. But
Yeah,
what can you do? Every now and then it happens, right? It feels like I've had a good stretch where I haven't had any of those days, so it was bound to happen.
Yeah. So you're tired too? Yeah, I'm fried. So here's how my day went. So I left the venue. Basically when the final started, so I could pack, watch the final in bed, and fall asleep at a good hour because I had to be up at like 4:30. Watched the whole final. They could not fall asleep. Just didn't fall asleep till about 1. So I got about 3.5 hours of sleep. Then
So your flight was at what, 6? Your flight was at 6?
yeah, it was like 6.
Yeah.
So then I usually allot myself like honestly 5 to 10 minutes to get from the gate to from security basically to the gate because I have pre-check and everything. It's usually really fast. But there's quite a few people at LGA, so it took about 15 to 20, and I got there as it was boarding, so I didn't get to do my usual I just like to go get a bottle of water, maybe a little morning snack, and get going. Didn't get to go pee or anything, so I was already pissed off. Then we get on the plane. Just a bunch of idiots. It just took forever to board because people are stupid as shit when it comes to putting their bags in their things. Like they just put your bag there and turn it. It's not rocket science. So that took a while.
For some people, it is rocket science.
And then I don't know who's experienced this, but we had the weather hadn't started yet, but they're like the weather's about to come in. So basically, what held you up was just about to pass through. And they said hopefully it's only 15 to 20 minutes, and we're gonna chill. But these people were psychopaths because.
Yes,
I understand when the plane they like kind of turn the engine off or do whatever, but the air was basically barely coming out, and it was just like air from outside. It just was not cool. And I run hot, so I was worried that I was just being tortured. But I look over to the people next to me; they're just sweating, and I'm like, "It's hot, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's real hot. It's like 85 on this plane for an hour, bro." And I'm just sitting there, just tired as shit, sweating everywhere.
Well, there's nothing worse. At least you weren't hungover. Like, could you imagine being hungover in that moment?
Dude,
like that is the one good thing I've gotten smarter with is drinking on Sunday nights. But dude, those are the worst of the when you're just sitting there, you're like,
I think coming back from Cancun one year, it was a really hot plane, and I was the most hungover person in the world. And I thought about jumping out of the plane. I was just like, get me out of here. I'm done. I don't want to be here anymore. Like, emergency exit. I'm hitting, and I'm gone.
This doesn't end your story though, so continue.
Yeah, no, we're not even. We're at 10% in. So then, Joe, all right. So the rest of the flight's fine. They get us there. We land at DFW, and I never got water, and I never got my water before the flight. I was so thirsty. I felt like I was in the Sahara Desert. So I go to a 7-Eleven to get nice, Fiji water or something. And Joe texts me like, "Hey, I started working on the script because my flight's delayed. Like, could you look at it, maybe get it over to them?" And I was like, all I'm thinking is I need to get home and take a nap. So I'm doing this right now. So I pull up my phone, I'm copy and pasting it. I'm sending the script over to the Ultra team in an email, and I buy my water at the same time. Cool, got my water. I'm hydrated. I use the restroom. I'm feeling good. I'm back. I get out to my Uber. I go to the trunk to throw my suitcase in. I'm like, where the fuck's my suitcase?
Where's your suitcase?
I was just like, where's my suitcase? And I'm like, I left my suitcase at goddamn 7-Eleven. My suitcase
in the airport
is just sitting in line at 7-Eleven holding a spot for no one. And so the big doors that say like no entry past this point, like you can't like legally whatever the rules are, you can't go back
that point.
I'm banging on the door, banging on it. This lady opens like, what? And I'm like, listen, my suitcase is right there at the 7-Eleven. Can I get it? And she goes, absolutely not. And I'm like, can you get it? No. And I'm like, sick. She says, talk to the ticketing area. So I go over to the ticketing area. I'm like, hello, my suitcase is at 7-Eleven. And they're like, what? I'm like, it's there. What do I do? Can you get a security guard to take me? Can you guys go get it? Like, what can we do here? And they're like, you just have to wait for lost and found. I'm like, fuck, because I had to wait for lost and found once before, and it took like a week. Like, it's not like this quick process. So I'm like,
just imagining this lady at the desk, and you're like, you come up, and she's like, all right, what can I do for you, sir? And you're just like, I left my bag at 7-Eleven. Like, that's it. That's all you start with.
Yeah. That's basically how it went. So then I'm like, all right. All that was in there was like dirty clothes. The most important thing there was a lot of was like boxer briefs and socks and stuff, right? Like you bring quite a bit for a week. So I just get an Uber. I get in the Uber. I literally, I think I spent $600 instantly just ordering a bunch of socks, boxer briefs, and a new suitcase. I was like, fuck that thing. That suitcase is gone.
It's gone.
I go 40 minutes all the way back. I'm sorry I'm swearing so much. It was a very annoying day.
You're loud. We're not on a broadcast. You're okay.
So I get home. Copper's so excited to see me. It's amazing. Copper's running around like, you know, it's the best. You get back to your dog. I'm happy. Mm-hmm. Then Robert Taylor, our guy from Activision, I think he works in like influencer relations now. Like he works with all the Warzone streamers and stuff. He just texts me a photo randomly with my suitcase. And I'm like, oh, what? He's just standing there with my suitcase. So he saw my tweets and he just went to the 7-Eleven and grabbed it. And I'm like, oh, you're amazing. But crap. So now I get back in my car. I drive 40 minutes to the airport. I park. I go in. I talk to people, show my ID, get it. I come back. And so that adds like almost 2 hours on my day.
How did you get it? So what did he do?
Left it with he left it with like the baggage claim American people.
So did he leave and then go back through security? Might have.
Maybe he might have. I mean, DFW honestly takes like a minute, like at most of the gates. But I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, because baggage claims like right outside those doors, right?
Or he has propped the door and said, "Hey," and told him the scenario. I'm not really sure, but Robert Taylor and Angel, he said to tell that at his funeral. But he's gonna outlive me, so let's just get it out there now. So I get my bag. Then I drive the 40 minutes back home. I get home. I'm finally like, oh my god, I need a nap. But Copper's still like so excited I'm home that he's like in Kat's room while she's working and he's just scratching at the door. It's all I can hear. So I'm like, all right, I got to bring this guy in with me or he's never going to chill. So I bring Copper in with me. I'm trying to take like a 3-hour nap and then we get ready for the podcast. And he just missed me so much, I guess. I'm falling asleep and I sleep with my mouth. I'm like a mouth breather. I'm disgusting. I'm like sleeping. I'm like, and Copper would just he was licking in my mouth and waking me up. He was walking up going, and just licking my mouth and just woke me up over and over again. I didn't sleep at all. So this 3-hour nap I had planned was just my dog licking the inside of my mouth. So to regain, I ordered $50 worth of Taco Bell. I ate 3 beefy bean burritos. I had 3 crunchy hard tacos, some chips, and a Diet Coke, Pepsi, maybe. And here I am.
Can we talk about that? Your regain is $50 worth of Taco Bell.
I got some for Cat too, but yeah, I ordered a lot of Taco Bell. And
is that what you always say? Yeah, I got some stuff for Cat.
Listen, that was the one treat. Yes, it is. The one thing, they did it right. Those assholes. They either forget the little fire packet sauces that I want, or they forget the drinks. They always do. They got everything. So that was the one good thing that happened to me today. DoorDash and Taco Bell got my order right.
Nice. Well, that was quite a story. So you and I, we had some adventures. It was a rough travel day. It was just a rough one.
Yeah, I'm
especially
fried.
For you.
I'm fried, and we're gonna have fun.
I just could imagine you getting out to your Uber, like looking around, like, I wonder where I left my suitcase at.
Yeah, well, I've only ever had an issue once before, and it's because I have pre-checks, to take out like your iPad and stuff, and I had to go through a gate, or I went through a gate that didn't have pre-check, and I had to take out my iPad, my Switch, and stuff, and I just continued on without those items. I just left without my iPad, my Switch, and almost I got to the hotel. I went to get my Switch out. I'm like, oh. Thankfully, I got all that stuff back via Lost and Found, so I was aware of the process.
Via Lost and Found. Well, that's good. Proud of you, but you've made it. You're here now. We're here for episode 2. So thanks for tuning in to our live viewers, to our on-demand podcast listeners. Hope you enjoyed episode 1. We I hope greatly appreciate it. You could be maybe driving, maybe driving naked. We're not.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
I'm gonna be in rare form today, Joe. So good luck.
Just trying to think. Yeah, I mean, today we're just gonna pretty much talk about the major. Um, we don't want to touch on champs too much because we're gonna have a pre-champs episode similar to a pre-major four episode. So we'll like maybe glide over some things, but really the focus is gonna be on the last 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
Um, Before we get into that, I do have another like travel question. Do you have like a a go-to we travel a good amount or we used to. We don't that much anymore. You have like a routine? Like what is like one of your go like I don't know, do you have a snack that you like is a go-to?
Yeah.
Or usually
Yeah.
you're like a burger at like 6 in the morning guy, aren't you?
A burrito burger, sometimes yes, but usually I'd say my go-to rhythm is just I just like
And
to
you
get there with
never
enough
check a
time
bag.
to
You never
use
check
it
a bag.
ever. So I'm just like I get there,
Okay.
man. I basically like to go just try to tinkle because I hate to have to get up to pee on the plane. It pisses me off. So I try to go to the bathroom. I wash my hands. I then
Mm-hmm.
like to buy a nice bottle of water, and then I usually get either those like Welch's gummy ones, like the ones that were always at the MLG office. Like I get the big
Okay.
bag. I like
Mhm.
those, or the like a Chex Mix type thing. One or the other. It depends what kind of mood. It's like, am I in a crunchy or a gummy type mood? You
Those are
know,
your go-tos, yeah.
crunchy and salty, or gummy and sweet. Yeah.
Ah, yeah,
What about you, dude? What about you?
I'm a big water candy guy on planes. I don't usually like buy candy, but for some reason when I'm on the plane, like that is just like
Excuse to be fat.
it.
I feel you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just like a freedom thing, and I love the airhead bites. You ever see those? The airhead bites
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Mike and Ice? Yeah, those are like my go-to on the plane. I
Okay.
love it. I love those are my go-to.
I think the only other thing is like having a book. I basically always like having a book to listen to. Like I'm on the third Doom book right now, so
Do you
listen to that.
listen and then sleep? You're not like a movie or a show. Book and sleep.
No, because apparently most of the American Airlines planes that I've been on lately are from the 1940s. So I haven't had the option of a movie the last couple flights.
Wait, you don't know all you have to do is connect to the Wi-Fi. It's free.
Oh, you mean like watching on your phone
Well,
or
you have like
iPad?
an iPad. It's the same.
Yeah.
They have like the
Ju-
digital entertainment system built into it.
you describe far too much effort that I'm willing to put in. And anytime that I've tried to do that, it is like the slowest process. It's like you're on dial-up Wi-Fi, like just trying to load. It's just horribly slow. It just pisses me off. So I just listen to a book and then I fall asleep.
Okay.
What
No,
is it? You fly Delta, right? Is it like fast? You getting on that like in-flight side? Because it's horrible with American.
yeah.
It's just, I'm
I
just like,
never really have issues for it. I'm a huge though movie and series guy. Like I did these two flights, the boys' new season, so I got
okay.
that done. But I'm pretty much like this is how intense I am about this. Like if I don't start watching and wasting content until we start moving or flying. Like if we're on the plane, I'm either on my phone or I'm listening to a podcast or something. But the content, my entertainment, I don't start it until I know I'm going. Does that make sense?
I think I'm the same way when I do. If there's like the screen on the back of the
Yeah.
chair and I watch like that, I don't think I usually start till we get rolling. You never
Well,
know.
some people are like right away, dude. Because you
Uh,
never know. You never know if you're gonna sit
yeah,
there
yeah,
for hours.
exactly. A lightning bolt hit Missouri, so we've got a 4 hour delay. I don't know what's going to come up. So,
It hit who?
Missouri, Missouri.
I was like, what? Missouri?
Yeah,
Missouri?
I don't even know a single person that lives there or has ever lived there.
That was such a random state. Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know if anyone does. It's just like all the people that say they're from like North and South Dakota. Like I just don't believe you.
I don't believe it at all. Those
All right,
places, those places aren't
let's
real.
talk Call of Duty. Let's talk Call of
Oh,
Duty League.
is that why we're here?
Um, yeah, I mean sometimes not.
Well, I mean,
Sometimes we are.
listen, before we even like dive too deep into the event, there's just one big picture thing that
Mhm.
I kind of enjoyed seeing. Now, listen, there are people that aren't familiar with kind of regular North American sports season into playoff. Like let's say you're maybe European, you're used to like an EPL or something. There are a lot of different formats for sports, right? Whereas
Mhm.
in North America, we just kind of that's just what it is, right? It's a regular season. You narrow down to some teams that go to playoffs. That's just what it is. Um, there was a lot of, I think, blowback over the years. I mean, there are people that wanted more LAN events, wanted different things, but one thing was just, I saw it so much, just like every team should be a champs, every team should be a champs. I mean, that thought is dog shit, and why it is dog shit is because of moments like this. Like there is nothing better. Like if you don't follow like American sports or something like that, that run to make a playoff is just godlike. And I think you really got to see it with NYSL this weekend. And I saw so many tweets or like Reddit posts that were like, sort of like, oh, I get it now.
Hmm.
And I just was like, yeah,
I think a lot of it is relation to just people want the old format back for champs, like the 32 teams with the AMs, which I understand.
That's a whole different beast. But
I think you and I talked about that last episode where this is kind of champs is kind of playoffs now.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's really the big difference. Like, I think we would both love a CDL. I don't know, like a CDL playoffs with the top 8 teams, and then a champs with 32 or however many you can make.
Totally agreed. But I do think
Mhm.
there were some people that were, maybe I'm exaggerating. It's not as many as I think it was, but I think there were quite a few people that were just not maybe North American sports fans that were very anti like eliminating teams via the league. And like to me, it just, I don't know. I think some people's eyes were opened with this moment because it was,
Well, I mean,
it was
listen,
really good.
this was everything lined up. I mean, I don't know if this is ever going to happen. It was a New York event. New York had to make it. New York had the bracket.
This is like the perfect version of it. But
Correct.
I think in general, just that playoff run is incredible. But this was like the real wow. So that can happen because it was spectacular.
I'm still listen. I'm still like there's way too many points given online, so that's my argument, and I'm going to stick with that argument.
Bunch of different talking points. Yes, no doubt there are other issues, but I think for those not familiar with why it can be cool, sort of got to see that because it was very awesome.
It was. So let's jump into New York. I think just first things first, probably like the venue, the crowd, the atmosphere. Listen, I think it was what was Black Ops 4, 2019? You can kind of see it there in that picture to everyone tuning into the stream, or if you're watching the video. We're on like a balcony where, like, if you were, I don't know, where the rich people sit or the royalty back in the day, and then just overlooking the stage and the crowd. It was amazing. Even just that interaction, like people just yelling at us during commercial breaks. This sort of format, though, or this venue size, I think has been perfect for COD for a very long time since we had the Hard Rock for 2019 Vegas.
Yeah.
Even like I get champs, we want the arena, and other games are like CS and League. We're just not on that level. I mean, I'll just be honest, we aren't on that level. Maybe in some places, maybe if the marketing and the buildup is there for long enough. It's just a venue thing for me. I think it's great for COD, and it's very. If we're gonna have one stream, one match at a time, this is like very like a intimate setting.
Yeah,
That makes sense. Like players and fans are literally talking trash to one another.
Oh, there was a "fuck you" some player chant like going on every series. It was incredible.
Listen, I was in. I loved it.
Yeah,
I was a fan.
I don't know if it's just because I've been listening to that JJ Redick podcast a bit more now and just hearing about some of the stuff that was chanted at them that was so much further over the line that I'm like, I'm with it. Honestly, that as long as you're not getting into like sexuality or race or something, and it's just like whatever, fuck you, whoever. I'm okay. I'm personally okay with it. Have fun. But it reminds me of, I know it's not 1-to-1, but like when like the MLS was trying to grow here, and they would have it at like a college stadium or pro stadium. And they'd have 20,000 people there, let's say, but it was a stadium that filled 60,000, and it would just look so empty. And then they started to make a lot of like MLS stadiums around the country, and suddenly, like just that alone made the MLS look lit. Like I know you have your memes and whatever you want about the MLS, but like you see a packed stadium because they made them more around, what are they, like 18 to 25,000, probably somewhere in that ballpark.
I was just at the new stadium here, which is amazing. So
no, it's great. It's just like there's something about it just being like a packed house in that energy, and it's like the same type of thing for me. Like, do I want to be able to, like the CS event was going on this weekend, and do I want a stadium full of people? 100%.
Of course, we would love that.
But if that's not going to be the case, like I just think the theater, everything about it, like just the camera shots that you would see, it's literally, I mean, it feels like a stadium is built more for the competition, even though obviously there a lot of things that I'm sure are set for broadcast. A theater is like just made for that, like literally just made for that. Like just acoustically, like everything was so good. It
Mhm.
sounded great. It looked great. Um, and where we were, yeah, I had so much fun with the crowd. Like they was yelling stuff to us constantly. I was having a blast. I got asked to do
Well, we had
things
fun
with
in
my
Toronto
nipples, and
too.
yeah,
Like
yeah, certainly.
I think a big thing here is like with the cheering. Listen, a couple of years ago, besides in London, if OpTic was on, there was cheering. If OpTic wasn't on, there really wasn't much. I'll just be honest.
Say what you want about the
The
franchise thing. There have been
you know,
some
it's
positives.
100% hell. Yeah, it helped out Minnesota. But what I was gonna say is, I feel like when you have a good event with a good energy and a good crowd, like Toronto did, and I don't think it was portrayed on the broadcast that well. I wasn't sure what the crowd mice were picking up, but like
I think it
I
got
feel like
better
when you
after like day one. I'm pretty sure it got a lot better,
okay,
but
when you're going from like a good event to a good event, other people are like, I want to go there and I want to do that. Like I feel like it's like typical Americans. Like, oh, I'm embarrassed to chant and do this and that. Like I don't want to cheer for the team that isn't the favorite. And a lot of that has grown to love the sport and really just appreciate what's going on the stage. It's obviously not as crazy as when Optic's on stage or when New York is on stage. But if there's a crazy play or the energy is going off, everyone else is picking up on it. And I just don't think we used to have that. So this year for events has been fantastic in terms of the crowds for sure.
no, it's been amazing. That's part of, I just haven't really for years I haven't really cared what I casted, just sort of gonna go in and have fun. But it's even easier when there were times that we touched on a little bit last episode, but times you really just look forward to Optic because you knew the crowd would be there. Now I
Yeah.
don't care. Like I know the crowd's gonna be there. Like for
Hmm.
some team, for some moment, like they're gonna get behind it. And that's a really cool feeling as a commentator. Um one other thing that was kind of cool, I don't know how to get into like too deep of it on the tech side, but if people remember, I know we were pissed. It was last
Oh yeah.
year, and due to COVID, the former production team, like basically, they were like, we have to do the production from LA. We won't be live at the event, so that means the talent have to cast from home as well. So like Joe and I are casting that crazy Minnesota Ultra final from our goddamn basements. It's like
Yeah.
one of the craziest finals ever. And it's just not the same at all. It was a very fun final, but it was horrible for us, like to not be
Yep.
there with the crowd and everything. And this one, I'm not sure budget, whatever the issue. I'm sure it's a financial thing. It usually is, but like it was. So the esports engine team was mostly operating the entire broadcast out of Columbus.
Yeah. It was
Uh,
remote for the production team,
remote for the production team. There was remote
which is
people in
why there was the
LA.
sound issues the first day and like
Yes.
some of the early parts of the days. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but they got it fixed. I mean, they're honestly, I usually know something's wrong because I get a million tweets. Like it was like early that day, they
Yeah.
had some stuff to hammer out and they got pretty solid. There were some sync issues from time to time, but overall, I don't think it ruined the experience at all. But there were like people remote in LA, some people on site. It was kind of insane. It was the first time we've done it like that. So I just thought it was cool they pulled it off like that. Not that I don't have any lack of faith in the esports engine team. I mean, I trust those people with my lives, but with my lives, like I'm like
You have
I'm a
multiple
cat.
lives.
Yeah, with my life, but it was just kind of cool because I was a little bit worried at first. I was like, "We're doing what? Why?" But
Well, and that brings up another point, which I saw, you guys were talking about on Twitter. Is like obviously in New York, it is expensive. Brings up union cities. I could touch on that with my work at MLG.
yeah,
Yeah, I would assume it's budget. Just having more and more people there. But the fact is like, yeah, I mean, I hope we have more majors. I just know that probably costed a pretty penny, a
I,
very pretty penny.
I was surprised when I
You
heard we were having one in the city.
and
Honestly, I was
usually
like,
you have the unions, and like what that means is basically like even if you have your own production team, you also have to pay a union. And like if you have a cameraman, you have to have their cameraman sit next to your cameraman. Like crazy stuff like that. If you want wiring laid down, you just had to show the union team where they are. Like in that, I don't even want to know what that does to the cost. But hopefully we have more events in New York. Again, we touched on it last episode. Just being on the East Coast for the first time was was
Oh,
awesome.
I think there
And
was
the
somebody, like,
energy.
someone put a foot on the stage, on a certain day, like, there was a fine that was a ton of money. There was a bunch of weird stuff, and that's just yeah, it's just part of it, but
Hmm.
glad I'm not dealing with that.
Is there anything else just related to the venue and the event? I don't think so.
No, I mean, we got a lot to talk about. I'm sure we'll have other stuff that'll pop up, but just to
Yeah,
kind of rehash what we're going to go through, we're kind of just going to touch on each team, how they looked. Again, not going to be diving into champs because we do have an episode before that, so we'll wait to really get into the champs talk. I'm sure we'll briefly touch on
yeah.
some stuff related to it, but is there any place you want to start with the team? I mean, it kind of makes sense. Thieves or NYSL? You want to
All right,
start with
thieves.
Thieves? They won it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we start with thieves. I mean, I think it's been a tough year for them. I think it's been a
Yeah.
tough year for a lot of teams. At what, 6 different events
Wait. What did
we've
I
had
say?
6 different winners.
What did I say
What'd you
last week?
say? I don't
What did
remember.
you ask me the most disappointing team of the season? What did I say?
Oh yeah, thieves.
Yeah, that
You
kind of
did.
flips.
Yeah, a little different now. And, this has to be tough too because I think when you look at it last year, thieves getting into the CDL. We know Matt. Matt wants to win. And you obviously saw that with the roster changes and this and that. I don't think Matt realized, like, back in the day in COD, even in just a couple of years ago. I mean, obviously you have like honeymoon periods, but it was like roster change, you could win. Roster change, you could win. And the league is too talented. It's too structured. The systems have to be built. It's just not that simple. It's not that simple anymore. And, I think this was probably tough for them to not have the best placings throughout the year, to stick it out. They brought Shane on to, have a little extra help, a little boost. Cap's a certain coach that probably does one things. Shane's probably more of a morale guy. Um, you know, just like what they want to do. But I think it just took a lot for them. But the sort of bet, the gamble paid off to stick with this roster. Because after major 3 or heck, probably major 2 with the pro am, like they're like, should we pull the trigger? Should we try something different? But they didn't. They stuck with it. Now in 2 weeks, you're at champs and you just won an event. So you gotta be feeling good.
Yeah, you have to be. I think a big part of it, we've always been huge Kenny guys. I think the one thing we've always said about him in the past is like he's one of those POVs. There's a few in the league where you're watching it, you know it's him, and even like the YY stuff aside, like he's just a special POV. He's not shots he has for how he glides around the map. Kenny is just a guy. I don't even know the YY is part of it. Don't get me wrong, but the guy he's just cracked, man. When he is locked in, it is spectacular to watch. And he took. I think a lot of the guys took flack at different points, but I think Kenny was probably the central part of it, and because he was such a good sub back in Call of Duty World War II. And then I think what I remember him saying was just sort of he never really wanted to play sub. He just kind of wanted to play AR. The
And
sub
then he
play
had the
style.
Maddox and Black Ops 4, because they had you had the 3 weapons.
Yeah. And I just think he just kind of preferred to run AR, which I'm sure a lot of players do. It's probably a little
Mhm.
easier on your hands. And
I mean, listen, dude, he was a really good AR last year too. I
yeah,
know they
yeah,
weren't a good team. He was really, really good. But even he tweeted, he's like, "Why the hell have I been running this
yeah.
up? Or
That's
why
kind
have I been running an AR?"
that's kind of what I was gonna get to. Like it took a while for him to kind of get back to that play style and that form. And I'm sure it was more to do with the entire team, maybe than just him individually. But he got back to where he just at times was spitting on people. Like just it is hard to like 180 someone in this game because the time to kill. He had some plays where you're just like, it's just yeah, all right, there's Kenny, he's back. And
Yeah, and it took some time. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of this game is just learning timings. I mean, he ran the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 months with an AR. Had to pull out a sub when they were making a decision on what to do with the squad. Like, it just takes a little bit more time, more time than probably the Thieves fans wanted to, more time than they wanted to. But he finally got comfortable with it. I will say though, sticking on the Thieves and in their play style, they are the one team that runs 3 to 4 autos a lot. Like, and I like it because you have Kenny, you have even Envoy P4, P5 Berlin, which was Berlin. I was joking with Matt or Nate, like they should move the headquarters there because they
yeah,
were unbelievable. They were literally
yeah.
unbelievable on Berlin
Whatever mode, right?
throughout
Just
whatever
so
mode.
good.
That's gonna be a big point for teams playing them at champs in terms of vetoes. But it's like, do you play them on Yavutu, which is another AR map? So They were 3-1 on Hardpoint, 3-1 in Search, and 3-0 in Control on Berlin. So they were 9-2 overall on that map throughout the week, which is insane. But I just think that's a part of it. And I wouldn't be surprised, in the champs, if other teams start to do that because the auto seems to be really good on LAN. It got the little 5 extra bullets, so you have the 30 bullets now from an update a couple of months ago. And I don't know, it just feels like I mean,
Well,
all 4 of those players were positive. They were all doing whatever the heck they wanted to. It's very freestyle when you kind of watch it.
do you think? Okay, so I think what really stood out for us with them was you could tell like it just comms, vibes, trust, whatever it was very on point. Like they were playing
Mhm.
together very, very well. And we've sort of talked about the fact that at times in this game doesn't make sense. That's what you really need to do. It's like the one thing you can control, right? It's like just play together. But do you? I don't want to sound too stupid. You'll probably correct me if I'm wrong, but like Berlin seems like the map that you can most make play like normal COD. I know it's not. I know you'll get insane spawns, but like
Mhm.
you can manipulate it maybe the most without something freakish happening sometimes. I don't know. I just feel like a couple of the hard points you can actually spawn people out a little bit more typically.
I think so.
I mean, I guess I kind of see it that way. And I could be way off base, but that's kind of how I feel.
No,
A Ber-
it's very much the rotations are a little bit longer, right? End of P5 to P1, you can have them spawning across the map. Even for P3, going from P2, they can spawn on the opposite side. Yes, it is probably the most traditional hardpoint-esque
Closest we
map.
have, yeah.
I,
So I wonder if
a
maybe just
little bit of Tuscan here and there, but those
yeah,
spawns on Tuscan are just so fast. Uh, I
because
think
that's what I was wondering. If
Bocage
that's
at
why they.
times, but Bocage is just Bocage. I mean,
I don't know
I
where
mean at
people.
times when you're like slaying exceptionally well, but yes, Berlin is that traditional style map where I
Closest you
think
get,
if you have a system, that's probably it.
and it's sort of like I don't know. I mean, it's not exactly a 3 lane map with all the verticality and spots, but it kind of is in a way. Like I guess when I look
Mhm.
at it, it just feels like an old school COD map sometimes. And
Yeah,
I
even
just
when I
wonder if
play
that's
ranked and stuff, it's probably my favorite map in this
yeah, yeah,
game.
yeah. That, and
Mhm.
maybe that's just what I'm kind of getting to. Like they just they kind of like it. They feel like they can
Mhm.
play how they want to play on it, and maybe that's why they were so dominant. Not to say that people sort of veto that and they can't still be great, but um, I think a lot of why we thought this team would see a lot of success is because they, these players having like older school type titles. But I was just happy for him because I know like Mud Dog might not admit it, the players might not, but they're scared of Matt. I mean, he's crazy, and he I don't know if he spanks them or
Well,
what happens.
especially as the last year. I mean, it's just like well, it's a pressure thing. I mean, Nade
Yeah.
wants championships. He wants titles. I get it. Um,
Well, that's sort of what I'm wondering. Is this like kind of the monkey off the back? Like now that you've gotten that win,
mhm.
sort of wondering what this does to like that team and this organization. If like it's sort of the sky's the limit. Now it's what we expect with those 4 guys. We'll see.
Well, I mean, it's at the right time. There's the sort
Yeah,
of I mean,
yeah.
you and I leave in 2 weeks from tomorrow, I think, for champs or whatever. Like, we're pretty much 2.5 weeks out. Um, I think for them, they probably want to button some things up. I think if you look at the NYSL match, I mean, even the hard points, they were like in the lead. I feel like their respawns are really really strong. If there was something to focus on, you saw it in the final. Right, vetoes are going to get weird around champs time. These teams have known each other all year long. Now teams playing Thieves are going to be thinking, do we play them on Berlin? If you don't, you're going to play them on Gav, but do you take that risk, right? But the
Yeah.
thing for Thieves is going to be when you get to that, if you get to a final again in that best of 9, they lost both Bokages. So there is like, you highlight that. This is where your map pool really gets tested at the end of the year because you know matchups so well. And if you do get to that best of 9, you don't want to weaken. They lost both of them. They lost both in the final to NYSL. Obviously, they still win 5-3. But if they're better at a Bocage, and obviously the Envoy uh, ladder glitch doesn't help when it's 4-5. Maybe he gets a 2-piece and we go around 11. But
I don't. We didn't get too deep into that. Just it was a shitty scenario for a thing that's like. I mean, all the gameplay we've had this year, it hasn't really popped up much. But yeah, he
yeah,
literally
there it
tried
is.
to.
He's high fiving Paul, dude. He's high
Yeah,
fiving Paul.
trying to force push him. I don't know.
I don't know,
I
dude.
thought he was a
Like
Jedi.
that
It's
shit can't happen, man. That shit
no, no,
cannot
no.
happen. That's
I
just
agree. I was just like, oh Lord God, man. Like, mm.
it hasn't happened often, but this is why you see players melee before jumping onto ladders.
Well,
I
it's
mean,
funny because I said, I forgot. I remember like Gunless or someone tweeting that out ages ago, and I just sort
you
of
want to get your
forgot.
right eyebrow clean? Get your right eyebrow. I got you. You got a little. You
Oh, a little
see?
messed up.
See what I got? I
I
got you. You're
good?
good.
Oh,
Nice.
thank you,
Yep.
thank you.
Anything for you.
So I knew it was like a thing, but then yeah, I saw people meleeing ladders constantly. I don't remember seeing that like consistently as I did. And I was wondering like the whole time. It's probably because of that. And then that happened, and I was like, oh. Oof. But with that said, I think one of the key things is like that's one of those moments where it's
Mm.
not quite the same as like maybe when Dashy like fell in the water, and you just felt like the team kind of folded after that. They dealt with that. They lost the map. They respawned in 1-2 and ended it. Like I thought that was a very easy moment for some, maybe an individual to get a little shook or excuses start to get out from the team.
To get pissed off, honestly.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
really it. To
yeah,
get pissed off. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, I
and
would have been absolutely heated. Yeah.
I know, no, and you can turn that pissed off moment into the right type of energy where you come out and you win the series, or it could have gone a very different direction, right? Where you just have that as an excuse in your head, you lose the series and you're pinpointing that and everyone's raging about it. But now it won't be as talked about just because they came out and hammered it, won it. So
Yeah, I mean
I think
that
that's
gap
impressive.
control after was probably the most important map of that series. They win three straight after that, and it
Yeah,
starts with that gap control. Just winning that offensive round, that's kind of sealed the deal. I felt like the momentum shifted at that moment, and then you got to your Berlin search destroy, then you went to Tuscan Hardpoint, and Tuscan was great for New York, and they won it the first time through. But that's when you just had Kismet just literally fry, and you just can't always rely on that. You can't always rely on that.
well, I think that a player like Kismet or a BZ, just in the role they play, where they are just going to fly and chow and just put so much pressure. I think when any type of player is on, it's just going to be hard for any team. It just is. It's going to make certain things difficult, especially when you have. I mean, I don't think I mean, Envoy and Kenny certainly aren't your typical sub duo. And when they have someone like Kismet on the other side of it
Actually,
who's on like a heater,
I think Dylan. I think they both have figured it out. Actually, we saw a lot less of kind of what we know from Envoy.
playing
They were
sprouts,
playing.
playmaking type stuff.
Yes, he was playing a lot more straight up. I'm going to chow and find the
Okay.
openers, and all four of them were positive, like positive and across the
And I think you saw
tournament.
what Kismet still could do to him when he was like just in dad mode.
Yes.
Like,
Oh no, 100%.
yeah,
And that's gonna happen. And
yeah,
that's when we were talking last week about having a control just being so important and search being so important because respawns at times, if someone gets hot, the game's over. Like, it's just the way it is. And these
yeah,
teams are gonna do it back and forth. We saw it last year. But yeah, that's exactly what happened. You have to have like the search game to bounce back.
yeah. It's
Um,
like Search you at least can. Some players really hot. I mean, there's just like a cooldown period, but then also you can play away from it if you really want to. I guess not that that's
mhm.
ever probably really been a huge thing, unless maybe it was a sniper or something. But not much you can do in the middle of a hard point if someone's just
No.
smoking you. Like,
Then you get set up, there's a glide bomb on top of you. Like you just
yeah,
lose. It's just like momentum shifted one way. But I mean, I don't really have anything else for thieves. I mean, they were insane.
I'm just happy
Um,
for him. Honestly,
yep.
I felt really. I texted Jack right away.
Mhm.
He's just like part owner now with Thieves. Just like I know how invested in it is, and he was just like,
Guys,
dude, it
fucking
felt so
rich. Let's
good.
go.
He's like, it just felt so good. We're friends with a lot of those guys. Been casting them a long time, or you playing with them, and it's just felt very good for him.
Yeah, I mean, the respawn's great. I think just maybe look at their search. They probably want some improvements there, but win an event. Now they have another one in a couple weeks. They got to be riding high. But over to the home team. They had to do it. That was the big story to get top eight for champs. Luckily the teams that needed to lose did lose. That's what we kind of said with the bracket, with having Seattle in the losers or OpTic in the losers. FaZe losing winners round one really helped them because FaZe was their best friend. As you can see on the bottom, FaZe beat LAG, FaZe beat Florida for them. and then they just had to get to the final. I
I
mean,
think I said at one point, like we were casting, I'm like, people were booing FaZe. I'm like, no, you want FaZe to win here.
yeah,
Like, no,
yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah.
you want to root for FaZe. You want them to just keep stomping through the losers bracket. But I mean, we touched on the beginning of the show, but just that is one of those storylines that I think it's important to, especially me, and kind of the role I play in commentary, and especially to our production team and Ethan and those guys at Esports Engine. It is much. It's something that viewers probably don't even notice half the time. Like you're there for the gameplay,
Mhm.
but storytelling is important. Like that's why I'm worried less and less about what title we have year to year, or what the situation is with dev support, because we have such great storylines and players. And when you spend a month and a half setting this up, and then to watch it come to fruition,
Ooh,
if
it's beautiful.
everyone's just like hit that
Poetry.
one, it was awesome. And not that it took some magic. I mean, it sort of just wrote itself, right? Like this, it set itself up. But like you just keep hitting it, you keep pushing it, you keep talking about it, you just keep it in the front of everyone's mind constantly. And then when it happens, just like holy shit. Is it I know once we saw the bracket, we were kind of like, wow, this is very doable. But if you're thinking before, let's go before that. Let's go to before the qualifier. Well, I mean, what were you thinking before the qualifier started? Like, good luck. Uh,
Well, I guess because they won Pro-Am and they looked weren't they like what were they? They were for major 3 quals. They were 3 and 2. I guess just that like since they showed success, I thought that they could do it.
if you knew, and we didn't know exactly what the scenario was going to be, but
Mhm.
if you heard before that qualifier, before their first match started, they had to get to the final and go 4-1 or whatever it was in matches. I don't know what the betting odds are on that, but it's not good. It's not good.
No, I mean it was literally. I think everyone just thought it could happen because of the bracket. That was literally it. Just the way it played out.
And I think it's kind of crazy too, because Krim is not at his best that he's been in his career. He is certainly not at his peak. That is well gone. But it's wild, just the personality that he is, the size of person that he is. I don't mean actual size, just like
Ooh.
the size. Like him alone is part of why I believe, though. Not even kidding. Even though he is not even close to top form, him alone on the team had me believe it.
Well,
And it's
I mean, he said that in a post-game interview. I think after they qualified for champs, I think after they beat LA Thieves, I told these guys like we could fucking do it. Like I just had to keep just saying that over and over and
yeah.
over because he's playing with a lot of younger players, who have not the experience that he has on a big stage, not even close. Um, so he just kept saying it to me. I mean, it's that winners round 1 match versus ROKKR. I mean, they win in a game 5. That match was enormous because didn't they have to win like both searches versus ROKKR?
I think
I,
so.
I think it was something like that. Like ROKKR played that pretty well. No, they just had to win the game 5. They split the searches, but still, I mean, talk about pressure right from the get go, just right from the get go. And what's wild
Wait,
is,
no, no, no. Are you talking about the first match?
yeah,
First match, they had a reverse sweep. Pretty sure the first
okay,
match, I think they went down 0-2 first match.
okay. Well, talk about even more pressure.
I'm almost positive.
And yeah. You're right. They did reverse sweep them.
Yeah.
And what's crazy throughout this event is like I think what many consider to be their best player, most impactful player, in Paul, had a horrible event. He even tweeted about it. Like I played bad, like the worst weekend of COD ever. Clint, throughout Major 4, he had a .77 in hardpoint and a .82 in control.
You want to know what counters that? Kid's been having the best goddamn weekend of his career.
Yeah, the best winners. Yeah, no, 100%. The best winners bracket of his career. You are not wrong. Like,
Like
so
best.
I think the pressure was there, and you saw it in some players, maybe not others. But I mean, man, that first match I think was just like, okay, like we're good.
Well, I want to touch on them more, but I do want to talk. We touched on the production side a little bit. I want to talk about
Ooh, the
the
walkouts.
intro, the walkouts a little bit, because
Yep.
that a lot of that was actually, I think it was Nameless and Bryce and some of the talent guys were talking about different stuff we could do to hype them up, because
Yeah, creative on the New York side, I
yeah,
think.
because a lot
Yeah.
of times we just like hate the walkouts as talent, where it's like they take forever. Like let's just get in the match. And
I personally
we
just don't like individual ones.
yeah, I
Personally.
don't either unless you do stuff like that. And
Yeah.
you know, Krim, what did Bryce say? He saw something on Reddit or something like, Krim's kind of done and seen it all. Now he's just doing wrapping up the side quest. Like he's just like down to do whatever, just having fun. And the stuff with Krim 7, and that was the first time I can think of that was the first time I can think of that
Do you,
he bought like the license to music, like to have the Undertaker stuff as he came out. I can't remember of a time we've done that.
do you think
Everyone
though,
got
with
behind it.
what you said, like the side quest thing, do you think it's more like it's that, or because they had such a rough start of the year, like fuck it, let's have some fun. Like if we're gonna go out with a bang, obviously I know he's been more open to things and he showed a lot more personality, even with Empire. But I just think if he had like this New York team at the start, it might be a little bit different.
It might be, but I think it's partially Krem has just sort of accepted that role now that he is
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
a lot of the other guys, and that we've lost some big personalities along the way. He is just sort of taking it on himself to be like this Shaq like figure that is just like the face of the fun. Um,
Yeah.
and I think it's great. So I don't know.
Which is crazy because a lot of, I mean, with what happened with OpTic and this and that, like he was one of the villains, and now everyone's like, I love this guy. He went from
Well,
like heel, like isn't that what they're called, like a
yeah,
heel
yeah.
to like, I kind of like
Well,
this guy so much, I don't
I
even
think what people
care.
don't realize is that, I mean, he's always kind of been like this.
No, no,
It was
for
just
sure.
directed. It was just directed at a fan base that couldn't laugh at it because a lot of them are 12. But like,
All right, he's been like this at times, but other times he's also been a dickhead. Like let's
but
not
I
like.
feel like he's still a dickhead. I don't think anything's changed. He's just a bigger dickhead. I don't know.
I think he kind of laughs about it now, though. He kind of says it in a way, though, to kind of make it a joke. Like he didn't used to be that way. He was very cutthroat, like much more cutthroat.
Yeah, I guess I always viewed it though as him like giggling after the tweet though. And maybe
No,
it's
I
just
think you
knowing
and
him.
I, yes, you and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
probably because we've talked to him and he
yeah.
like we love like just trolling with Krim.
Yeah,
But I don't I
so
don't think a
maybe
lot of
that's
people
why.
got that.
Maybe I'm just too close to it that I knew he's always kind of been this way. Maybe it is more publicly he's kind of laughing it off. But we kind of always knew he was doing that shit for a laugh.
But now
So
that he's doing this stuff on stage, everything, I think everyone's like, all right, I could deal with this. Like, all right.
yeah, yeah. And I think it's just also partly that's not always directed at OpTic, and I'm sure,
Yeah, that helps.
I'm sure that's a big part of it too. But as happy as I felt for Thieves, and I say this 12 times a podcast, I just am happy for our players all the time when they succeed because I look at them all as my children basically at this point. But like, it's just they did it. They fucking did it, man.
Yeah.
And you got to feel for teams on the other side of it, which we'll talk through as we get to them. It's tough, but the fact is, you were in YSL in a spot that's really terrifying. If you well, I guess this can be sports internationally, but like you are that team that doesn't control your own destiny, right? Like you're the Bears and the AFC that need or NFC that need like this, and this to happen for you to get in. Like winning just doesn't get you there. You didn't
Right.
control it. You needed some stuff to happen, but you controlled what you could, and you did it. I mean,
And
props to you
now
because I'm sure the pressure was crazy.
And now the script kind of flips for them. It kind of goes from we have all this pressure to we have zero. I mean, we're the eighth seed. We're gonna play phase round one of champs. Um, Obviously, it's still a very dangerous team. They got to a major final, but it's kind of just like all that extra buildup is off, and they can focus on being the best team that they can be and just winging it, just going. Because I mean, they still have some stuff to work on. Obviously in that final, they were I think 1-4 in respawns. But the key is control. And I think I said it when you and I were casting FaZe versus OpTic or maybe one of the other matches. I focus a lot on the control because history has not lied. They were 2-3 in control this weekend. LADs are 5-1. I'm pretty sure major winners the last couple of years have had around a 75%
Who was 2 and
control.
3?
Uh,
NYSL.
NYSL was
Okay.
where these were 5-1. I'm pretty sure throughout like the last couple of years, yeah, like 75% control win rate. That team's winning the major.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
that's probably the mode they circle.
yeah, it's just weird. It's always been weird to me because I know you've always pointed to that. And it's just strange because it's like
It is weird.
the
No,
other
for
two
sure.
represent four.
I
4 of
know,
the
I
5.
know, I know. It is weird, but it's crazy the correlation.
It seems so key. It really does. We can talk about kind of phase then while you're chat about
Yeah.
that because they look kind of good there, but really only played Tuscan. But um, talking about FaZe, BZ, I tweeted about it, and I think I want to take back my tweet now that I saw the next series because well, yes and no. We were trying to figure out what was wrong with them, and when the BZ is on point, and when he is entering like one of the best subs in the game, it makes a lot of what they do easier. And it makes that just hitting scrap or maybe playing unorthodox, like it kind of makes it look normal. Like it just works. They're gonna hit stuff and they're gonna hit it and they're gonna hit it and they're gonna hit it and they're gonna hit it.
Mm.
And if they need a key rotation somewhere, hopefully they don't screw it up. But when I saw it work as we casted it against OpTic and just watched a BZ trample them, we watched the next series and Abizi played fine, but they played a much better coordinated team. That their play style and whatever they were trying to do was not working. Like they were just getting shut down. And
I mean, obviously it's props to Thieves, but they beat them twice, which was huge, right? They
yeah,
beat them in their team history. But it
I
was
think it shows
it
them
was through
their
the
issues are bigger.
it
Their
was through
issues
the
are bigger than
respawns.
they're bigger than I thought. They are. It's not as simple as Abizi. It's not. It's not. They've got
Well,
issues, bro.
even versus Thieves, I think they won the Tuscan hardpoint. They lost the Berlin hardpoint, and
Yeah.
it's kind of that question. And I remember because I was talking to Simp afterwards. Why aren't you running a third auto more on Berlin? And he's like, "Do you think I should?" I'm like, "Are you watching Thieves?" Like, yeah, I like that's what he does on Gav. They're a very good Gavutu team. Like, yes, I do believe that you should be running a third auto more. Like,
Yeah,
and I'd like to see that.
and maybe that's a thing where some teams you don't need to, but against a team like Thieves you do, because I think we saw on multiple maps when like him and when they were in a rhythm, and it really stood out against OpTic. If you think about like the head-to-head like sub duos there, they were just a 1-2 punch like
I
the
mean,
old
they
days.
play
Like
Bocage and Tuscan, so yeah, they're dead. If your
yeah,
subs are literally frying, then you're gonna
well,
shit on them.
I do think you can. I do think they can get away with that on Berlin, but maybe against a Thieves team,
Certain
you just
hills, maybe.
maybe against Thieves team you just can't.
Maybe like the first three hills, but P4 and P5.
All right, you
I
have
don't
to talk.
know.
I have to fill my water real quick. I need to stay hydrated. I had a very long day.
He had a very long day. Okay, he's gonna get water. Yeah, I just think it's one of those maps where Berlin's gonna be circled for Atlanta FaZe as well. But I think the key for them, you're happy to have a BZ back, but you have two losses. But the story coming into this for FaZe was the search and destroy. It looked like it was better. It looked like it was better in the qualifiers. They were 5-1 in S&D. Then you get to the the major tournament, they're 2-5 in search and destroy. So it just feels like there's all of these different obstacles that they're facing. I was talking about their search because they were 5-1 in search, Mave.
Yeah.
And the qualifiers now they're 2-5 again. So I'm not sure what's going on. The good thing is their control seems great. I mean, they only played Tuscan control, but they got some work to do in the hard point and search and destroy
Search is just never gonna make sense to me. I like
Mm.
can't. I just can't
with them.
like how they're not good at. I don't care what time. I don't care if they're playing on Mars. Like I just don't understand how they wouldn't be good at search. Just like they're smart players, they're good search players. I don't know what it is this year.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
just
know if it's the
weird.
maps or what. I mean, they saw a
I
lot
don't
of
want to like make
like
an excuse for them, but it's just like I don't get it. They should never be bad at search.
well, what they won 50% on Berlin. They won 0-1 on Bocage and 0-2 on Tuscan. So those are where they're struggling. In which you would think. I mean, there's been a couple of times even earlier in the year when we've watched or casted them on Tuscan, and they're just out rotated. Just I don't really know what's going on, but
Just get blooded a lot too. Sometimes like
mhm. But that's probably it for FaZe. I mean, listen, it's
yeah.
another top three. Where they started in losers round one. Well, no, they lost their first match, then went to losers round one. They still go on a big run. They're still a very dangerous team.
They're,
Nobody
st-
is going to
they're,
want to match up to them.
they're still my pick to win champs.
But it's really that's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But it's still a
I think
question
teams
of
looked awesome this weekend, but they're still my pick.
I feel like it's like similar to last year where when they would lose, it's just like, well, this time they didn't do this. Then they would lose again. And well, okay, you add this. but then their control fell off or their search fell off, and it's like, it is there going to be a weekend where it all comes together? And if it does, similar to Thieves, and you
People are
know
screwed if it does, but will
they
it?
win,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it will.
Well, yeah, I mean, not too much to touch on FaZe, just like kind of same old shit, right? Like
Top three. I
we'll
mean, we're
see.
saying we're like it's. I mean, it's a good event for most teams, not the best event for
Not for them.
FaZe. Yeah,
Uh well, I mean, well, one other thing they did finally beat OpTic this year, right? Like they got
yeah,
that
yeah.
one done. OpTic is
Mhm.
will transition to them. Obviously,
And that's
not
a
in the best
huge.
form.
I just want to say one thing. That's a huge
Yeah,
like mental battle going into like where you could potentially play them
a
again at
champ or
champs
something.
just to
Yeah,
get over that hump. Just to get over the hump, I think is huge for him because I mean, Optic was delusionally confident versus them. Of course, I mean, how could they not be?
I know. I was surprised when you said it. Like they hadn't beat them. I was like, how long ago were these matches? And like most were early in the year, which made sense to me. I was just surprised because like FaZe has been a better team for months, and I'm just like, how they not beat them once? But yeah, they just only played once, I guess, really recently.
Yeah, it's been a
But
while, but they were listening to him with subs. I'm just like,
yeah, yeah, no,
what
no,
the
you're
fuck?
not wrong. You're not wrong. Exactly, exactly. But for OpTic, I guess I'd feel pretty good about top four considering you start and losers. With everything
Mhm.
you've gone through, with all the roster stuff, with the struggles leading into this, with just trying to get back and find that kind of rhythm and magic that you had to kick off the year. And it sort of feels like I think OpTic in the past, and I'm talking old rosters, take this for what you will, but OpTic has always been a team for me that usually started out pretty strong because they had a lot of talent. They just weren't very good at adapting and learning as time went on. It's what I felt for a long time. And they just, as the year went on, I'm talking like that 3-4 year struggle. Like they just would get worse and like they just wouldn't win events. They couldn't match the teams that really dialed stuff in later in the year. Um, and you just got to kind of feel for them right now because maybe you have that now with Ray there and with Illy there.
Mhm.
It just feels like there was like a 2-month hold on them sort of improving a lot because of the roster
Yep.
stuff going on. But you got some solid wins. You made a run to top four. I guess I never felt good when watching them was my biggest thing. Like it just felt like they were always squeaking by, which you can look at the other side and say they were clutching up. But it was
Yep.
just kind of
Which in
sloppy.
Vanguard, winning map, like there's a lot of map fives there has
Yeah,
been. So
yeah. I just never got the feeling like, hey, this is a team that is good enough to win now. Um, but you got a couple of weeks, and I think you did better than maybe some expected. I know it's online to LAN, and top four is not like the craziest thing, but they clutched up. They brought it back when they needed to at times, and we'll see. I don't know how much they can improve in the next couple of weeks.
I got 2 points. First
Okay.
thing is hardpoint vetoes. They played Bocage 4 times. Berlin is an auto veto. I have no clue why. I have no idea why.
There's
I
horrible
could
at it,
not tell
apparently.
you.
I guess there's horrible at it in scrims, man. So what else is
Okay,
there?
but here's the problem: when you are horrible at it, you're gonna have to play really good Bocage teams. When we look at FaZe, when we look at New York, when we look at who is even their first matchup at champs, I don't,
What was the one? Was it
isn't
last year?
it Boston? Boston is a very good Bocage team.
Was it last
You
year? Who we kept pushing them to play a different map? Was it Garrison or what? What was that? What was that thing where they had like a really bad hardpoint issue, and you and I kept wanting them to play something else?
Oh, that was FaZe. That was FaZe.
No, there's something with OpTic, 100%. I just can't remember what the
Oh, they played
situation
Toronto.
was.
They played Toronto. So it was also a good Bocage team, but
Yeah. Well, anyway, this has been a thing for a couple of years where it's just like it is a map pull thing for OpTic sometimes, and I'm pretty sure I'm thinking of the right thing. It was them, and like it was the same type of thing. Like they had this map they didn't want to play,
mhm.
didn't want to pick, and it led to issues. And that's why I mean, FaZe for a long time had an advantage over a lot of teams because their map pool was just everything. Like they're like
Oh, it was
whatever, we're gonna
Garrison,
play.
yeah, with Optic last year
Yeah,
because I
it
just
was.
wanted them to fight people.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't remember how it all played out, but it was an issue of like they just need to have a little bit the option to kind of go to both, and they would avoid one. Um, and now this year, yeah, I mean, Berlin is just
I just don't know. Like, okay, they could just be holding on to it for champs. Like that could very much be it. Like honestly, this could be a long con of Ray or whoever's saying we're starting in losers round one. Screw it, let's go. Like, it really could be. Honestly, I'm dead serious. Let's get a bunch of Bocage reps in.
I
Who the
doubt
hell
it, but
cares?
there's a chance. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just gonna, I'm gonna put it out
Yeah.
there. It very well could be. We're starting in losers round one. Let's see what happens. We're gonna play a lot of Bocage on Bocage. It keeps that in there. Because the fact is, they're a very good Tuscan team. They're a very good Gavutu team. And Gavutu Bocage are the two maps going into champs where I think both teams or all the teams are gonna have to try to figure out because again, you have like Berlin versus Thieves, right? So these sort of vetoes are going to come into play.
It's just funny hearing how different like the mindsets are because you know how Crowder would have dealt with this. Like, just he would have been like, "Oh, you guys hate
Blame.
it, Berlin."
Yeah, Berlin.
Oh, you guys suck at
Berlin.
Berlin.
Yeah, yeah.
It wouldn't have
Berlin.
mattered whether it was a league match or a tournament. Oh, okay, Berlin. Like
Berlin, yeah.
They just would have kept playing it. Listen, that's not to like knock Rampo or OpTic at all. It's just it's just a difference.
There.
It's just a difference of I know for a fact if it was the same situation, Berlin. Like you're just playing it until it can be part of our map pool. But yeah, I mean, I guess the one good thing is if Thieves are going to be a really big problem, you don't want to go to Berlin anyway. I guess that's it.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what I mean for Thieves, and then it's like, if you're Thieves, do you play OpTic on Gav or do you play Bocage, right? So if they get better, like this is the way. That's a huge talking point. We'll get to that when we talk about champs, probably the next episode. But it's going to be like a mind game. The second thing for OpTic, for me, was their search. They were 5-1 in S&D, and they were clutching up really big rounds. I know even Scump had a really poor event in search, but Shotzi was going off throughout Major 4. Maybe you're relying on him a little bit too much individually. You want to see Illy and Scump step it up. But the fact is I think those game fives and the fact they're winning them, if they could force them at champs, they have a really good shot at beating a lot of the teams.
They do. And we touched on something at the end of the broadcast, and it's not even like pinned on Shotzi, but there were a lot of Reddit posts about it, kind of his pacing, and sometimes it's so many engagements. Sometimes it's like the fewest on the team, and just what's going on there. I don't know if it's even a thing of just. It could be like an individual thing, but I think it's more of just like a team thing and just like a sub duo thing, just getting on the same page. And like I just feel like you saw a really good example of that with Thieves this weekend, where it felt like what are those dancers in the pools did? What are they called? Synchronized swimmers. They were like, twirling, and it was very synchronized. Like you just tell they were really playing as a unit. And sometimes I feel like OpTic is very bad at that. And they really, really get by on just the talent that they have on the team. I mean, even FaZe, as much as we want to knock them, I know they don't always play together, but a lot of times they're doing stuff together. It just looks silly, like what they're trying to do. OpTic sometimes it's just.
There was one round, I think, versus Ultra on a Berlin control. It stuck out to me, and I think I was watching with Cap, and it was the 8 point that was left. They get like the first like 2 kills, and you just see this arrow, and it's Shotzi, and he's just floating over the fire. Like he just floats in the fire to try to trap them defensively. And then meanwhile, I think the timing was bad, and those guys just get into the point, and it's just like if he just floods with them, they probably win the round. And he didn't flood. Like he didn't flood in. He went for that extra play, that extra route, which is what we kind of talk about.
Like last year, like right, like
Right,
Envoy.
yeah, right. And and Cap was like, "Why the hell did he do that? Like that's not what you're supposed to do," type thing. And that's kind of what we talk about with sort of like the pacing and just taking those routes when you don't need to.
Maybe it's not a pacing thing; it's a decision making thing more than like there's a time to try and make an individual play, and there's a time to hit shit with your team.
Like, yes. And it's just those little moments trying to factor that out. But even more so though, it could be a pacing thing because think about it, if he hits there and he hits into a sub spot, then Scump can go behind him and pick something else up. Right.
Yeah,
It's just the way those dominoes fall. And I mean, if the timing goes his way, I mean, he probably wins the round and then he's the hero. But you don't want to always have to rely on that.
Yeah, maybe
which is what like Thieves did.
What do you put more faith in? Getting the fortunate timing or winning a team fight with your team with numbers? It's like
Well, even then, I mean, he's got to win a gunfight or two, right? Like,
yeah,
I'd rather you be on the point.
Yeah,
every time.
Yeah.
Like all the time.
It's probably hard in this title, man. To just.
It's also hard when he's literally hard carrying at moments, like literally hard carrying. Like, what do you tell the guy? Like, it's just tough to like sit him down and be like, Oh, I stopped doing that. Like, oh man.
Well, I think that's always probably I do think Shotzi he seems like just a very nice, genuine kid that I think would be very receptive to feedback as a superstar. But like
Mhm.
I think just a bigger picture, I'm sure that's in any major sport, baseball, football, whatever. If you have some super mega star that is caring at times, it's probably really hard to coach that person or give them feedback
Yep.
because you're just sort of
Yeah.
like, listen, Mr. Tom Brady's. Yeah, you threw that pick in the third. Really cost us. Yeah, I threw for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. How about you fuck yourself and get the defense going? Like, it's just
Yeah.
like it's got to be hard to, yeah, just give feedback. But I do think he seems like he would not be that guy. Like he'd be
No,
able
no,
to
no.
take
He'll
it pretty
figure it
well.
out. But it's
Yeah,
something I just noticed. And
yeah.
even just like in terms of the pacing, if you look at the stats for FaZe versus OpTic, I mean, he's at 198 interactions. You have Scump at like 168. You have Dashy at 158. I mean, he's fighting 40 to 50 more times than some of his teammates.
But that like wasn't the case leading in, kind of right?
Yeah, I
Wasn't
think
that like
like
kind of the
the
opposite of the qualifier
qualifier,
times?
yeah, he was slower than them, if I remember correctly,
Could have been
which was like
something
odd.
where I don't know, maybe he like just saw Reddit a little bit and like not that I don't know if this would happen, but he kind of saw the comments a little bit and tried to play a little bit faster too, which
Yeah.
I mean the fact is they started in losers, made it around the top four. And I think it's not even just like Shotzi, it's more of just you've had all these team changes. Now you have Illy back, just finding
Well, that's
that
what I
sweet
was
spot
gonna
again.
say.
Finding the sweet spot again, man.
Is that they have two ARs that can play at a really quick level, and I love seeing what I've seen out of Dashy the last few years, which is him slowing down and not being that extra cracked. But him and Illy can turn it up.
Well,
Like
that
that,
reminds
I
me of
feel like
Empire, where Illy and Trin
there
had
are
to.
moments. I feel like there are moments where they can probably play faster.
Yeah, no, it's just like
Yeah.
when I talked about last episode with Krim and Illy having to do it. Like Dashy's just a far more twisted Krim. If he want, if he wants to play, he can be like that. What Formal was at AR for most of his career. Like, he was never a real typical AR. Like
Mhm.
he'd L trigger and be like, I am bored as shit, and
Yeah.
he's going forward and trying to fight. So, yeah, that probably can skew things sometimes too. Is they want to get involved or need to get involved, but listen, we're kind of just talking about it. Dude, it's hard.
We're theory crafting. We're theory
We
crafting.
cast and we watch a lot. But it's tough with this title, and I haven't. I got back today. I haven't sat down and watched it in .5 speed every single play to see what's going on. And I'm probably not going to do that. But is it fun to chat about and kind of see what's going on, what they're working on? Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see what they can do.
And then the other thing, just 1-4 in control. So for Opted, that was really odd. I think we said that 100 times on broadcast, but there's some. They got a couple of weeks. You never know.
Yeah. Toronto Ultra. This is the Toronto Ultra Merk and Maven's podcast. Listen, I never go on the desk. I never have to make predictions up there, but I was put onto the desk and
Unbelievable.
I had
This
to
guy.
make I had to make a choice, and the first two, due to the map set, they both said Ultra, and I was like, Thieves finally beat FaZe.
Traitor, dude.
I
Traitor.
was talking to Cap and
Traitor.
stuff, and I said I'm thinking Thieves, and
Traitor.
then Thieves choke slammed them.
Yeah.
That was a tough one. I mean, Ultra, we know it has not been the ideal year. Did they play two Berlins? It was Berlin Search, I believe, and
Versus who?
Thieves. They got 3-0 just stomped.
I can check right now for you.
If you have it
It
up,
was Berlin Search, Berlin Control, and Tuscan Hardpoint, and they
two
lost by
Berlins.
11.
So, yeah, so they had a close map one, then got slammed in two Berlins. I think Cammy was like 0-6 map 2. The map 3 was a 3-0. And that is partially 100%. Listen, even though Ultra have not been a top 2 team this year, they have still been a solid team capable of beating top teams.
Hey, they won the kickoff classic, bro.
Yeah, capable of like making a run at any moment. Like we know we've been waiting for this moment to like almost sort of like Thieves finally click. Like, I've been kind of waiting for that moment in this title for that to happen with Ultra. But Thieves just made him look bad. That was the first time that I was just like, They
Thieves made a
got
lot of people look bad though. When
yeah, but
we watched,
they were getting 180. Like there were a couple plays where someone
yeah,
just got shit on, and I was like, oh, okay, that doesn't even happen in this title. Why?
they did it
Oh,
versus FaZe though too. Like they
yeah.
that team was just on a different level. Like especially in the respawns.
Well, and I think
Um,
that was sort of the barometer for me with OpTic 2 a little bit. Then when we saw OpTic play Ultra, and it's like this game 5, barn burner on the maps, and I just an hour ago watched Thieves beat them. I'm like, these are different levels right now. They are. They are.
yeah. I mean, yeah, and then versus OpTic, what I mean, yeah, they lost both hard points. Their hard point was really bad here. 1-4. And this is
And that's the
probably
start of
like,
the year too, right? Where they could not win a hard point. I mean, we're
yeah,
back
but
to
there was one like difference maker for me, which was Insight had a really off event. He has like around like a 0.85, which is very in hardpoint, which is not like him.
yeah,
So
certainly.
maybe if he plays a little bit better, not just giving him like I'm not putting all the blame on him, but I don't know, just yeah, for Ultra, it's like they reverse sweep London. They beat Optic in around 11, or they lose to Optic in around 11. If that goes their way, they're able to make the Sunday. Who knows what happens? I feel like that's Vanguard, but they're like in the mix. But I think when you see Thieves in New York, they're like they got a lot to work on.
Yeah, and I guess I'm just really hoping, regardless of what goes down the rest of the year, hopefully we're deep enough. Like I guess I just really want to see this team, this four, sit together, because I just have a lot of belief in those four players, and I really think, and maybe in a different title, it's going to be fine. Now, if you get smoked at champs, and I mean, who knows what can happen in the off season with contracts and stuff? Who knows? But I'm just saying, let's throw all that out the window, and you can just keep this 4-man team. At least give it to like the major, like whatever start of next year, because I guess I still believe. I do. I like this team. They're fun to root for. They got a lot of great personality and great players. They just can't get over this hump of being mediocre this year.
Yeah.
And maybe mediocre. Maybe they're a bit better than mediocre. But you know what I mean? Like they
No, I
can't.
mean
They can't get over that
they're
hump.
around top 6. That's why
Yeah.
they have the seed that they have. That's where they are. I mean, they got top 4 last year or last major. They got top 6 this one. I mean, they're again right in the middle of the pack. I want to give a shout out to Bansell real quick, just because I think versus Texas in both searches, like he was trying to do everything he can. He had a 1.92 in that match, and that went to around 11. Like
He had a 1v3 in
he
the
had
map
some
5.
insane moments, and I like to see that. It felt like he really took his game up a notch and was like, "Listen, if we're losing, like I'm gonna make sure it's not on me." Because a lot of the times it has been,
He's been the
Vance has been
scapegoat. It's not, yeah.
right. And Matt Man was like, I'm doing everything in my power to make sure like we move on. And he had a hell of a match in Search and Destroy. But I mean, yeah, similar to Optic, I think they have a couple of weeks, and then you're hoping that weekend just it clicks.
There's not a lot you can change at this point. And like I don't really think that Thieves are doing anything unbelievable. I just think they are calming very well. They found some maps they feel really comfortable on, which we saw this weekend for sure. And just
And those will get
they're
vetoed, but then you have to beat them on Gaff, right?
they're
That's just it.
they're just playing together really well. Like just watch the map and like listen to the couple listen-ins we went to. Like they're just playing together. The comms don't sound real panicked. They're pretty chill for the most part. I mean, Bocage, whatever for any team, but like it's not like phase you go to and I need to someone decipher an alien language. It just, I don't know. Maybe all that just playing League together and Val and just kind of vibing. It's just sort of they're just best pals gaming together. I
They
don't
are.
know.
They
Well,
are. They are a very tight knit group. That these
it,
and they are.
it
Every time
seems
I'm
like it,
around
and
them,
like
they're there.
it's you're seeing it kind of on the map, and
Yeah, they're
not that
very very close.
it's
I think
almost like
I don't know. I think everyone else is too, probably.
I
But
no, I'm sure, but like not that that stuff's super important, but like just think about casting. Like part of why you and I cast well together because we're best pals. Like there's just a chemistry there. Like
oh, it helps
I'm
for
sure,
sure.
100%. Not it's different, but I'm sure just having chemistry and wanting to go out there and win for your boys. I'm sure there's something extra to it. But you're right. I'm sure a lot of them are. But that one's just always stood out to me when I go into their team room and they're all four playing League or something. Like, what are these guys doing? That's awesome.
Yeah,
um
but their hard points things. So that's I got to face that.
Yeah, and you can put. I feel like that control stat that you'll put up, like that hinges on you being okay in the other two modes, right? Like that
Mhm.
control stat means nothing if you can't win a
No, no,
hard
no.
point.
Yeah.
You have to like that more comes into play. It's like a higher level thing when like you're a
That
team
is
that's
like
decent.
finals. That is like
Yes, like
finals when you are gonna trade blows because it's gonna
yes,
happen.
you got to get to the point you're trading blows, and
Yeah.
they're just not. They're not.
Yeah, you gotta
Um,
get to the point where you're blown, that's for sure.
I've been there. To Florida, they were on the. I mean, I you got to feel for them. I'm sure many don't because I think a lot of fans hate them because they kept beating OpTic at majors. But they once they lost, it was sort of they just had to sit and watch what NYSL were able to do. You saw Major Maniacs tweet after it. You know, they tried to make some changes to get it to work. They just fall short. I don't have a whole lot of like thoughts on performance. I think it's a lot of kind of what we talked about with this guy's awakening thing. Like, what are they going to plan to do with this team going forward? But
Mhm.
I guess I see this thing getting blown up, and I don't know what piece is going to stay, but I imagine it's going to get reworked. I don't think this roster looks a thing like it does right now.
I could see like Skies or Awakening, and then maybe you keep Major just due to his like career.
Sure. I mean, I'd like that. I love Major.
I don't know. I'm still laughing. Like, dude, the Vivid thing, man. Like, I think Vivid would have fit well with Major. I don't know. They needed to be honest, they just need a little bit more firepower. I mean, too real even here. I mean, Major four like point. I'm not just saying Katie's everything, but 0.63 in hardpoint. It's just can't do that. You went 1-4 in hardpoint. They lost every control. Their respawns were
No, I mean, and look at the other
awful.
side of it
They
when
were
you have like
awful.
when you have a Kismet or what a BC was doing. I mean, they're literally doubling his KD and playing a similar role. Like you just, yeah, you can't get bodied like that in hardcore and expect to win. So I mean,
Then there's like the other part that kind of sucks for them in what we talked about with the bracket thing. Like they won their first match, their destiny's in their hand. They play New York, they lose. They had to go play FaZe.
yeah,
Like that's the other part. Like if they played anyone else, I don't know. Maybe there's a
yeah.
chance. Or maybe there is.
Face were just like literally just a duo with NYSL to like set them up, just haymakering people out of the losers.
Dude, they were just a 1-2 punch.
Oh,
So it sucks for Florida, but they had a chance. It's not like I mean, they were ahead of NYSL. They even got to play NYSL, but it just felt like this roster needed a little bit more time, or it
it's
just needed
weird
to
to
be a
talk about
different
like
roster.
firepower because like, dude, you watch Skies and Awakening POV and you're like, these guys can just 1v4 at any moment.
Yeah, but it's
But
it's like it's to me the one just always it's awakening, man. Like that guy, he is the one. I really want to see him elsewhere or surrounded by a different team.
I think you just need to. I mean, you just need to split it up at this point.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
You
Yeah,
just
we
need
talked
to.
about last episode. It's time to switch it up. But yeah,
You
one
just
in
need to.
seven in respawns at the event. They're not going to make it a champs, but the next team, the team they beat in winners round one, will be a champs. Is Boston Breach? They are the team who gets Vivid. I like this team, man. This team is fun to watch. I think these 2 weeks of practice building up to it is going to be very important for them. It's just, is it enough time? Is it too late for this roster? But the Nero and Vivid combo is a scary one because
Yeah,
they can both go off. A
I know.
lot falls on to TJ though.
100%. I know Zenny said like he was really hyped for this event because he said they were really playing well leading into
Mhm.
this, and we know there was some like S&D issues, but he just said they're playing some of the best COD they have all year. Like he felt really good about what they're gonna be
Mhm.
able to do. TJ, dude, I don't know, man. How many years are we gonna talk about this shit? Like
He's got to be
TJ,
better though. He's got to be better.
yeah, I said that for five
Especially
years. Like
especially if he's going to run flex, he has to be better.
it's just
Sorry.
he has always been electric or disappears. I feel like it's been a long time of that. Of he's taken over and frying, but like I guess I feel like the issue is like let's say for years ago. I'm just picking numbers right now. I'm not even thinking about titles, but let's just say, 3, 4 years ago, whatever. He would,
Who's your entry guy?
yes, but it's like, let's say 75% of the time you expect it to pop off, 25% of the time he just disappears a little bit. Like that is just skewed more and more the other way. And to your point, as you're switching to a role that it should be doing the opposite,
Mm.
like you should be taking over more and more. It just feels like he disappears more often than not now. And by disappears, I mean he just has these duds. And I guess I always wonder if it's like a level of maturity or focus thing. Just thinking back to like, the OpTic TJ Dashy and the issues they had. I don't know if that is still it. I'm not close enough to know if that's the thing, but I don't think he's just, too old or lost the touch or something like that yet. I mean, I don't. So what's going on?
Well, and,
Because
and
not
the,
just
the
in
other
this
thing
title. You
is,
can't say Vanguard for him because
no, 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 no.
this has been years.
Yeah, and again, I mean, when you have the entry role, I think like there's going to be times when you're on and off a beat. Like it's just a tough role. He was that, but now you have two very, very fast players in front of you in Nero and Vivid. Like I feel like they should take. That's why I said last episode. I feel like they should take a lot of the pressure kind of off of him, especially in response.
You think he'd be able to be like a cell in the sense of like the pressure they're putting on the map, like he would be able to just like lock in and put up numbers. You would think,
Yeah,
but that's just
that's what I
not really the
assumed.
case.
He can play with pace too. Like that's the other good thing. Like that's why I like that core trio. But if he needs to be better, because then Zin can be Iron Boots Zin and just beam and like he can do whatever he wants.
Well, is that part of the issue? I don't know. Is it less the sub thing and more a Zen thing too? With like his pace is too slow. But I feel
I
like
don't think so,
that's how
man.
he's always kind of been. Like Zen's
I
always
don't
kind
think
of.
so. He's just got to find a little bit more consistency in response. Honestly, he really does. Like that's it.
Yeah, it just feels like one of those things I want to like, figure out
I
and
just
see if
think
it's
that
like
it's
a
a
team
big
thing. But it
2 weeks.
feels like it does feel very individual with this one. Like it's just like TJ's got to figure it out.
I still think if you're a Boston fan, you should be excited. Like I do like this team. I think they have a chance. What they play Thieves round one at champs. Like it's not probably the draw you want, but you never know. You never know with
Well,
this game.
well, yeah, no, I know Zinni was just in the green room, just kind of mentioning that he was hoping a series went the other way. I think it was the FaZe Thieves one because uh, I believe he came down and not wanting to play Thieves round one, like just
Mhm.
based on their current form. I think he was just sort of like, oh, I mean, they're frying right now. Like that's not the matchup, the ideal one. But I think regardless, just based on how low they are, like they're gonna have a tough matchup regardless. Like it was gonna be an OpTic or a Thieves or a. Well, it
No,
was not gonna be a fun matchup.
no.
Um, but
Excited though. Excited. I think they have
I
upset
share with
potential.
you, like yeah, that's like one of those teams that okay. Let's say you were gonna pick like a dark horse for champs, like to do something like get to a final. That might be like a dark horse type team.
That would be crazy. That
No,
would
no,
be something.
I think it would be,
Yeah.
but like that would
Yeah.
be like the definition of like a dark horse team for me.
Yep.
That would make some kind of run.
Yep.
Um,
Oh
London.
boy. Oh man.
Uh,
I don't freaking know, man.
Trey says he's going on holiday for a couple days. I saw him at the
He
airport.
needs to.
That's what
I'm serious.
I think that's what I said to him.
Dude. I don't know. Like I'm not trying to be mean. I was very excited with Gizmo back in this lineup. They had a great qualifier. I don't know if they are putting too much pressure on themselves. If because listen, I've had teammates like we're playing so well on LAN or online. We get to an event, too many energy drinks, too antsy. You get into the match, and it's like, what did we just do? That's not what we practiced. And I have to assume it's something like that because they're too good, but they're being getting shit on LAN. They have been horrible, not great.
And I feel like Afro kind of had a couple off series, didn't he? And like he's been pretty consistent for
Nasty
them in
has
that
been
role.
their best on LAN player.
Because his name's Nasty, which I love, by the way, because I like to get nasty.
Same.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm just like, what do we do? What's going on? I mean, we're talking about that being the best hardpoint team, like best, like I don't know. But they got figure. Luckily, they got champs. They're gonna make it. They've been great online, so they had lots of points.
Maybe they're doing like that no lag VPN hosted from London, dude.
I don't know.
For
I'm not
online
sure.
matches, I was kind of kidding, but like, uh,
Outside of the first major, it has been not good.
I think it's partially there's got to be a lack of I would think like a leadership somewhere. Just when things start to unravel on land, like who is that? Just like suck it the fuck up, boys. Like we gotta perform. Like
These guys are in their chairs, bro, bouncing around. I think they're just too hype.
it could be, but like
Somebody's giving them like some melatonin before they go in or something. I really, honestly,
I just know, you know how like I love Trey, but you know how his demeanor is. Like he's just sort of like it's shocked. Like he's like he's gonna get frustrated and sort of be down. Like I don't know if there's a guy that's sort of like, come on, lads. You see, my
I don't
use of
know.
lad, you like my use of lads
I
there.
think Trey's like that in game though. I think he is
No,
very
no,
like we got.
maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I just know it's been a frustrating year for him, and I just wonder how quick it is to get frustrating for everybody.
Yeah, it just feels
Quickly.
like when it goes bad for them, it goes really bad.
Yeah, yes, that's what I mean. And there's
Yeah,
not like and it might not be a leadership thing, but I bet part of it is just something to do with like leadership or just chemistry to overcome humps sometimes and bring it back. Just that sort of magic. And they haven't
It-
had like those really good come from behind victories or some really good wins that like maybe creates that belief system. But yeah, they're dog shit on land.
yeah. I mean, their round one match is just. I could see if they win like winners round one. You talk about like a sleeper team. Like I could see them go to the final. If they lose winner or if they lose winners round one, it might just be bop bop. Like might be it.
And that doesn't scream like some like leadership or something. Like if you're just so worried, like you hit one hump, you're done. That's just what it
That's me.
screams to me.
That's like a squad thing. I think.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe more just a chemistry trust type thing.
Not sure.
It might just be too hyped up and caffeine, but I don't know. I always think there's more to it. It's like it's whoever tweeted. I can't remember. I don't think it was attached. Somebody after the event said mentality is everything, and I've said that for a long time, especially for players that want to bitch about online play and get in their own heads about the title being bad and spawns. Like mentality is everything. Like you've got to just be bigger than that shit, and just you have to be. The second you've got a million excuses in your head, like you already lost, and it could be just a big it could be a big mental thing, man.
Yeah. All right. We'll see what London can do, but they got a
Yeah.
lot. They got a lot. Seattle. Um, are major three winners. They lose first round to Boston. I think still a dangerous team, but I mean, you're talking now throughout stage 4, 1-5. Their only win over Paris. They're losing to everyone. But I mean, you still have Sim and Pred who are putting up some insane numbers.
Yeah, that's
I
kind
don't
of a
have
weird
much
one.
to say.
Kind of a weird one.
They obviously have a lot of game, sort of film that there you can go over. You could literally compare major 3 to all of stage 4. Like be like, this is what we did here. This is what we did here, and that's
That
bad.
might be just the day-to-day Vanguard stuff, though. Like, it's just it could be partially that because it feels like they really sort of like we're talking about thieves, kind of clicking. Like, it feels like they hit their form, they hit it a little too early, and now it's like trying to just recapture that.
Yeah, but they went like they went from I don't know. They literally it's major 4 or stage 4 qualifiers. They're 2-10 in like hardpoint and search. Like that to me is like a bigger. It's not like you're losing game 5, so you're not even.
Yeah, keep that thought. I'm running to the restroom. You're doing a really good job, Joe. You look
Is
good.
this just a solo podcast again?
Yeah, listen. I had to fill my water, and now the
We got
water
a
has to
couple.
come
We
out
got a
of me.
couple more, and we're almost done. You got this.
Okay, you think I can do it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we're almost done.
This guy wants me to pee my pants. That's actually unbelievable.
There's no way, dude. There's no way. All right. Yeah, Seattle.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
You're gonna pee
No,
yourself.
no, I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, Seattle. I don't know. I love watching Pred. I would love rooting for Lamar. I just don't have a ton to like add to it because like they know what they're capable of. can you reach out and grab that again? Because I'm not convinced it's like, oh, all these teams just suddenly got better than you. It's got to be something internal. It has to.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe like again, we're very structured now. Like teams maybe figured them out or vetoes, maybe, but I just think they're off. It's got to be like a simple comms thing,
Well, you didn't
trust in
view
one
this the
another.
same way. You didn't view like at least I didn't. Like them winning was not the same as like LAG winning. Like
No, 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 no,
LAG
no.
felt like this like crazy Cinderella story. Like Seattle was sort of like I get it. They're very talented. They had a good weekend, right?
Well, I mean, what for Seattle, it was a really good start, and then the middle, like major two, was not good, and then you saw them turn it around though throughout major three qualifiers where they went like 4-1,
It's
and then
kind of
they
like
turned
literally
it
been a
up.
wave, bro.
Yeah,
Like
it's
it's just been
it's
real.
really it's been a roller coaster. They're just hoping
Yeah.
they're going up at the end.
Okay. Well, on to Gorillas.
Yeah, I figure these last couple of teams. I mean, they're obviously the team's not making it. We don't have to say too much,
Yeah, I
but
don't even know why we're spending much time on these at all. I
yeah,
mean, the fact
no,
is
we just don't.
they're not getting to champs. I mean, the fact is the reason it's not worth talking about them too much is you're not going to see them play again this year. These are not going to be the same teams.
Mhm.
They're not. I mean, if there's any key thing you want to throw out there for them, feel free. But
No, I mean, again, I just said it a lot. I like this roster. I just think they need more time.
yeah,
I think it's a very talented roster. Uh, and I hope Slasher just gets to to a team where like he has people around him. I mean, the last couple of years for him has been so many just musical chairs.
well, you know what just hit me that I actually didn't realize is it's interesting that two of the winners didn't make it. Like, because some things you have where it's like, you win a major, it's like an auto bid or something
No,
like that. You have
only
those.
one winner, only one winner. Seattle made it.
Oh, 1-1. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a moron. No, I was looking at it completely wrong. What team are you missing on here then? I just saw four at the bottom. Who are we missing?
Well, Florida is the other team. I just went in
Oh, they're
order of
further up.
like placements and placements.
That's why. That's why I was looking at like the
Yeah.
bottom four, and I was like,
No, no, no. I
I
went
just
in order
like
of placements.
got it. Okay, so never mind. Yeah, just Gorillas. I guess that one's not really that interesting because their weekend they had a crazy week. They did.
I mean, they
There's
earned a lot
no
of
doubt about
points, but yeah, it was just the musical chairs thing.
yeah, I was looking at her document and I was like, that's kind of wild. Wait, what? uh
Minnesota.
Rocker.
Honestly, it's heartbreak for them because
What was Havoc's thing though? Well, didn't Havoc not want to do something unless Kismet came with him or something? What was
yes, go to New York, I think, or
and he
go
didn't
to no, go
New
to
York. It was New York. Yeah.
yeah,
He didn't want to go to New York unless Kismet came or something like that.
yeah,
I hope I'm not butchering this. But I get it. I get it now. This Kismet is disgusting, dude.
yeah.
That guy was unbelievable. I guess I was surprised at first to hear that was one of the key things, like key issues with it was Kismet, which I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Mhm.
And now I get it. I mean, Kismet. I think I asked you when we were watching from the crowd. I was like, when was that time that Kismet was like disgusting? And he was
I couldn't even
he was
name that
taking over.
roster.
And you were like Enigma 6. And I was like, yeah, what was that roster? You're like, I think it was like Proto, General, Kismet, and,
Brezzy?
Brezzy or something like
I
that.
don't know the fifth, dude. The
Yeah.
fifth. It was
And
like, was it Pander?
oh, dude.
No, no, no. It was GodRX, right? GodRX was on that team, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds about right, dude.
Yeah,
That
I
sounds
have
right.
GodRX and Pander. They're all in like this. I basically view them all as like going to middle school with Octane, and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they all grew up in the same neighborhood, and they all worshipped Octane.
yeah.
I don't know what the real story is, but that's how I view those. Aren't they all
Yeah, that was
like
Black
friends?
Ops
Just
4.
aren't they all just like friends of Octane? Did I just? I feel like that's a real
Yeah,
thing.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They were.
Okay.
Yeah, they were.
But yeah, I guess I just get it. I remember hearing that, and I was like, that's your holdup. Like Kismet not coming with. That's the holdup. All
I
right.
understand it.
Now I totally get it because Kismet took over. And I had a couple great talks with his dad. His dad thought I was you. But listen, dad's a really nice guy. He was like, tell
Yeah.
Maven hi, Joe. And I was like, yes. He's a really nice guy though.
ROKKR, they lose two game fives, which is, I mean, ROKKR's been like, well, they've been a rock the last couple of since the CDL.
Expect them to have ice, right? Like game five.
Bummed for them not to make it, especially the Or. They put so much into it. We were at their major for stage 2, but It's what happens when you're cutting forward. It's a very competitive league. They had a chance, just didn't clutch up.
Yeah, that's probably the one that I
Most
guess if I was
surprised.
gonna pick, not even well, surprised, yes, but maybe most
Yeah.
disappointed they're not at champs because I think it's just, yeah, it's a great brand, great personality of the team, maybe a chance to make some noise. Players responsible for some historic moments. I guess that's the one that kind of wish somehow they made it work, but you didn't. I guess I really like, for the 400th time talking about a player, dude, Priesta just, I love that kid, man. He is just, he's such a genuine dude. He's so talented. He's been put in some shitty spots, not playing roles he wants to at certain times.
I think he's a
I,
big system guy, and a lot of people don't know that. And I think when the system isn't there, it can be tough for him. I think he's a big system player.
yeah, yeah, and what you kind of mean by that, like you're 1, 2, 3, 4, like you just how you played the game, right? Like you spawn up
Hmm.
and kind of know where you're going, type thing. You know where the other person
Yeah.
is. And it's hard to have that in this game, maybe right now, but there are some players that need that, and I think that just comes down to probably just how your brain works, like in a
Yep.
way, like how you make decisions the second you spawn up and how you look at the map, like just how it is.
Oh, and then I mean, we don't really have to touch on Paris, but Paris, yeah, they lost again.
Good luck in Las Vegas.
Yeah, good luck in Vegas. Let's see anything else. God wise, I guess let's just show the champs bracket before we head out. Let's
Yeah,
see the top eight. Let's show the champs bracket if we have it.
yeah. I
Um,
don't need to. I don't want to
we're
go
not
too
gonna
deep
go
into
into
it.
this.
We're gonna have an episode
There
about
it
that,
is.
but this is what it looks like. I mean, the first thing that really just jumps off the page is just OpTic Ultra to me because they've had so many matchups over the years. Like since the inception of the CDL, like I just feel like these guys have gone to war a million times.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking forward to. But I got no idea.
I think
Anyway,
it's like this. You could have Thieves Optic round two, or you could have FaZe or FaZe Seattle round two. I mean FaZe New York round one is insanity. Just FaZe has the number one seed, and you're hoping
you're
to
playing a
not
team
have
red
like
hot.
yeah, you're playing a red hot squad in winners round one, which could be a good thing. We've seen teams who have been tested in winners round one go on and do really well, but like Seattle, they went to a game five round 11 with New York and then won the event. So we've
Yeah.
seen where if you're tested, could be a crazy one. But yeah, we're gonna have a COD Champs episode before that event, so we'll dive deep into that. Probably do predictions. Maybe we have like a player on from one of the other four teams eliminated. That could be good. Maybe like an Austin or something. We
I'd be I'd
attach.
be I'd be really down for that because we've been talking a lot about what we want to do in the off season and stuff, and we're gonna spitball more ideas, probably tweet a bit about it, but we're thinking I kind of like what I always wanted Hot Mike to be in a way, like bring on a player, kind of just spend time with one player, me and Joe, just diving into career and COD and whatever's like a hot topic at the time. Um, so we're gonna kind of figure that out. It's gonna shift obviously once we hit the off season, and we'd
Yeah.
love to just continue this relationship with Ultra and build this podcast and keep doing it as long as we can because we're very attractive people, and there's a lot of potential there. I like purple.
I love purple, dude. These look good, right? They look good. All right.
They look great. My head is massive though, huh? Yeah, and
Yeah.
if the episode's a little maybe shorter than the last one, I mean, we're always
Probably an
gonna aim.
hour
I
and a
think we're gonna
half.
aim. Yeah, we're gonna aim for like 90 minutes to 2 hours. And I'll be honest, I am.
Sometimes we'll probably go over.
Yeah, I am toast today. It's been a long day. I still have a rehearsal for some stuff I gotta do tonight. I'm tired, man. Like that was a fun show and a
We'll
blast
we'll do
chatting with
like
you, but
we'll
it's a
do
long
a
day.
question or two. A question or two.
Yeah. From the chat, if anyone's
We'll do
got
a question or two from the chat. We didn't have the Reddit thread up this time. We'll make sure to have it last time. So let's do a question or two. I'm looking at the chat. Um,
anything
whatever
you
you
guys
got.
want to walk through, and I just admire Joe's face. Well,
Here we
while I
go.
sit
Here we
here
go.
and
This guy is asking, how can FaZe be your team to win champs when they haven't won anything this year and apparently keep getting worse when teams are getting better?
I mean, I don't know. I'd argue they've gotten really much worse. I mean, second versus third isn't like a huge thing for me, but they've still been the most consistent team on the year. I mean, that's why they're still my pick. They're the only team that I can look at, and I guess in my head, I'm like, I feel pretty confident they can make it run to the final, and then anything can happen in a final. I don't feel that way about anyone else. There's not another team I look at. I'm like, I feel good about them getting to a final. That's the only
Huh?
team. It's simple as that. Only one I can look at. I'm like, they can make a run there, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
And I'm sure part of it's how much they've won over the past years too. Like I know this year's been tough, but they've won a little bit.
This one from Harmon. I like this. Or sorry, from Alex. Sorry. Harmon, no, there has not. I have not heard anything about expansion. So just say that because that's you. Yeah, I said your name. But Alex is asking, is NYSL slightly overrated? They avoided all top 6 seeds. And I'll answer that.
Well, the seeds for
Hold on,
this tournament made 0 sense. So, uh,
but I will
you
give
mean
you
is that
my
the
answer.
event or overall? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know. Whatever. I'll just answer it. I would say no because they played Thieves the way they did, and they beat Thieves, and because Thieves beat FaZe, Thieves beat Ultra, and it's not like they just beat those teams; they beat the shit out of them. So I would probably say Thieves is the best team right now, and Ultra went toe to toe and also beat them in a best of 5.
You mean
So
NYSL?
yeah,
Yeah, I don't think NYSL is the number 2 team just based solely on that. I mean, I guess I still have FaZe probably there right now. I'd probably go Thieves FaZe. Maybe just I put a little bit more stock in Thieves form just because how they just look good and played together well. NYSL, I need to see a little more. It's almost like when Seattle won. I was like, I've got high hopes for Seattle, but we'll kind of see how it plays out.
yeah.
It's overrated. It depends where you have them. I don't know. If you think they're number 2 in the game right now, I don't think they're number 2 in the game right now, personally.
Okay. And then we'll do one more. A lot of you guys are asking roster stuff. We'll probably use that off season. That'll be filled with roster mania, talking to players.
Yeah.
But this one from Drops. Do you think Berlin control will be the most important for teams to improve on because offense is easier compared to Tuscan slash Kavutu? I'll give you my answer.
You
I
you
think
talked
you will
about this.
see. I think you will see a lot more Kavutu's at champs. There's a reason why. There's very Tuscan heavy teams like your OpTics and your FaZes. There's very Berlin heavy teams like your New Yorks and your Thieves. And I think you will see a little bit more Gavutu. This tends to happen with vetoes throughout the year. There's always sort of a trend, and then that trend goes the other way because they want to veto. I don't think Thieves is going to play Berlin as much, right? Like, I just don't think that's going to happen. So I would honestly say I talked about it throughout this episode. The 2 maps I would look at for champs and having the biggest impact is going to be Gavutu and Bokaj.
You're saying we could take a nap during the map 3s?
There's a good chance.
Okay.
I mean, I love Berlin. It's probably my favorite to cast, but yeah. Could be.
Berlin's my favorite to cast. Tuscan's all right. Gavutu's.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the questions.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, hanging out. We got home, got right on the podcast. Thanks for watching live. If you're watching VOD or on a podcast, remember you can watch this or listen to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and we're live on Twitch.
Yeah. We got right back. We got right to it, and it's been an interesting day for both of us. We love you all. We will see you next week as we continue on. This is the Toronto Ultras Merk and Maven podcast. Have a very sexy and delightful evening.